Right. Okay, so make sure you've got a hand towel just for your head, and maybe for the stretches at the end, and maybe have a couple of magazines, because we normally use blocks in the studio. So if you haven't got anything, just use a book or something. I've just done half an hour's class, came to have a look at it, and it wasn't recording. So I'm hoping that we're good to go. So for Judith, Tamara, Suki, and anybody else who's doing their own isolation. So I thought I'd do just a shorter video, just gearing it more sort of like a lower intermediate section. And then what we'll do over the next week, Sarah and I will put some videos together and get them out at different levels. So it just helps to keep you going, keeping that mobile, make sure that we haven't forgotten you, that we are missing you, and obviously we're very respectful of anybody that has to work at home, and I hope that everything's okay. So let's start. Feet, knees, hips in alignment, pelvis neutral, your natural curve of your back, rib cage down, collarbone open, and just your chin tucked in so the neck stays nice and long. Arms down by your sides, and all we're going to do is just keeping those abdominals engaged, maintain your neutral, hips still as you lift one leg. Just float it up and take it back down, and then float it up, and make sure that you're reaching down with those fingertips and take it back down. So inhale as we lift, and exhale as you lower. Inhale as you lift, and exhale as you lower. And then we'll just extend the leg away. So inhale, if remember we're keeping everything still. As you breathe out and take the leg away from you, you need to contract a little bit stronger so that there's no movement through the back, and the back is being supported by the transverse muscle. Okay, so those deep abdominal muscles. Float the other leg up. So inhale as you lift, exhale, extend away from you. Bring the leg back and place it down to the floor. One more time each side. So I'm not going to do quite so many repetitions as we would do at the studio. So I think probably if you're working at home, half an hour is probably enough. And you can always stop the video and just obviously do some of the exercises and take it up to the next levels if you normally work at another level. So taking the arms to the ceiling, make sure that the rib cage, the back of the rib cage is on the mat, front of the rib cage pushing down, but you're still in neutral. So as you breathe out, you want to keep those abdominals engaged, and we're trying not to let the rib cage flare up, so those external obliques are holding the position and the back stays in that neutral. Add your legs, so float one leg to tabletop. Exhale as you extend out. Inhale, bring it back. Same leg 3 times. So it's almost as if your torso is in a vice, locked in position. And if you keep your spine aligned, then all the back muscles with the movement have to work. So if we keep our spine aligned, we're going to strengthen the back in the correct position. Take the foot down gently onto the floor, lift that other leg up. So exhale, extend out. Inhale, come back. Exhale, extend out. Inhale, come back. One more time. Keep the leg in tabletop, imprint, so drop the rib cage down, tilt the pelvis, bring that other leg up into tabletop, obliques. So exhale, we'll stay basic. We're just going to do 2 breaths first. So exhale over, inhale, center. Now you could put your feet down on the floor. So if you find that this is just a little bit too much, your body feels tired, your back feels tired, take the feet down, but do the same action. Head is going to stay still. And I'm in an imprinted position, making sure as I take my legs over that my torso, my tummy is staying nice and tight. 4 breaths. So exhale over, inhale, hold, exhale, center. And again, exhale over, inhale, hold, exhale, center. One more time. Exhale over, holding and center. And last one. So take the feet down to the floor. Now you could just rock from side to side if you want to have a break. If you want to do just a little bit more, hands behind your head, chin in towards your chest as you curl up. So we're going to stay relatively neutral, so we're not imprinting, pubic bone's going to be away from you. And all we're going to do is, as we exhale, bring the rib cage up and over towards the hip, tap the outside of the leg and come back to center. Elbows stay nice and wide, abdominals stay pulled in. So you can do the tap. Remember, you've got the choice of rocking the legs from side to side. So you think, well, actually, I want to skip this one, then that's absolutely fine. Okay? You don't have to tap the leg. You can just come across and center. Now, the spine doesn't actually twist that far. So what we want to avoid is pulling on the head and bringing that arm across you. So I'd rather you keep it very, very small and use the right muscle groups than bringing in the chest and the momentum in order to do the exercise. Last one. And let's go into your hip rolls. So if you've got a towel or something soft under your head, you don't need to move it. Heels close in towards your bottom. So we're just going to push through the heels a little bit more, tilting the pelvis, imprinting the spine, and coming up vertebra by vertebra. Nice and long through the neck, you're engaging your bottom. Take a breath at the top and then rolling down and really trying to articulate. Use your stomach muscles to try and get that flexion through the spine and all the way into neutral and even extension. So as we breathe out, tilting the pelvis, little bit of weight through the heels, but keep the big toes in contact with the floor, and then peeling up vertebra by vertebra. You could add the arms. Inhale as the arms go over. Leave the arms there, and all it does, it just challenges those oblique muscles a little bit more. So coming from that mid-thoracic spine, down through the lumbar spine, pull the tummy in, going back into your neutral, so hip bone and pubic bone. Balance, and then arms down by your sides. We'll do one more. So tilt the pelvis, peel the spine away from the floor, vertebra by vertebra. Take the arms over your head, leaving the arms there, and then rolling down through the spine, one disc at a time. Arms down by your side. Shoulder bridges, you could stay with the hip rolls if you'd prefer. So if your back feels a bit more vulnerable, maybe stay with the shoulder bridges. But it's so important to keep our bottoms nice and strong. So my heels are going to come a little bit closer in towards my bottom. I'm going to push down hard through my heels, but keep my big toe in contact with the floor. Pull up through the pelvic floor and engage. So have all of that in place, and then just lift the hips up straight. Okay. So if you've got any flexion through your pelvis, your bottom's not going to switch on quite so much. So we want to try and get those hips up high, clench the cheeks of your bottom, press down through your heels, and keeping the pelvis nice and still. Just have a quick check with the neck that your head isn't looking back. You always want to keep your neck nice and long, and you must be able to lift your head away from the floor. Arms reaching down towards your heels, and then just coming straight back down. Okay, I'm just going to stay at that level with this video because I know those of you at home at the moment, that's the level that you like to work at, and then we can always do stronger ones another time. So through the heels, pull up to your pelvic floor and lift. If you want to make it a little harder, either put a towel rolled up between the legs or feet together and really squeeze those inner thighs, and you feel the difference. Okay, so it really activates those muscles on the inner thigh, here through the outside into glute med, glute minimus, piriformis, those smaller muscles, and then of course your big muscle, the glute max. So hips up, squeeze, 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 and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest down. If you normally have a block under your head, place it there. And then we're just going to bring the knees into the chest for a moment. Just hug it in. Just loosen up your back. So ab preps, warming up your abdominals. So back into neutral, arms down by your sides, supporting the base of the skull if your neck gets tired. So imagine if you're lying on magazines, and I'm just going to pull that top magazine away from you so you do a very small nod of the head. As you blow out, drop the rib cage down. Your eyes are looking towards your knees because of that nod, and puts the neck in a good position and uses those deep throat muscles, and holding, and then back down. So inhale, lengthen, exhale, curl up, hold, and back down. You could bring one leg up, so lengthen through the neck. Exhale as you curl up. Extend the leg away from you. Bring the leg back. Place it down. Head goes down. Inhale, lift, lengthen. Remember, it's just an option. Exhale as you curl up. Send that leg away from you. Bring the leg back. Rest it down to the floor or keep it in your tabletop. Bringing the other leg up. So lengthen through the neck. Exhale as you curl up. Send that leg away from you. Tummy in nice and tight. Bring the leg back. Place the head down. Inhale, lengthen. Other side. Drop the rib cage down. So it comes, your flexion comes from your obliques, rectus abdominis, and your psoas. One more time. Remember, you can be down here. You don't have to be in that tabletop position. Do whatever you would do normally. You can support your head, so whatever you would do normally in your class, and rest down. Legs over to one side, and then head in the opposite direction. Camera puts on about half a stone. Not good. Need to do something. And then over to the other side. And back to center. So before we change position, we'll just do a few toe taps, because that's a nice exercise for everybody. So we're imprinting, bringing one leg up into tabletop. Make sure you keep that tummy in nice and tight as you lift that other leg up. So we're going to keep that imprint, head is going to stay down. So what's important is as you lower the foot down towards the floor from the hip, not from the knee, your back stays down and imprint and your tummy stays flat. So be guided by that. Don't feel that you have to touch the floor. I'm not touching the floor. So because my back's very flat, I can't, no matter how strong my stomach muscles are, if I start to touch the floor, I then start to really tense up in my neck. So I want to keep all of this sort of nice and relaxed, shoulder blades, rib cage down, and that's as far as I need to go. Now, depending on your back shape, you may be able to go a little bit lower and actually touch the floor quite easily, or you might want to keep it far more reduced. Okay. If you want to work harder, you can speed it up. But then what I would do is curl up. And then once I'm curled up, because I'm then using my rectus abdominis, so all four of my stomach muscles are coming in, it's going to be a lot easier to do a full toe tap. I don't want to swing through my torso. So I'm just adding a more dynamic movement. So the back is working a little bit harder. Need to be stronger through those stomach muscles. And I'm still keeping my torso very still, hopefully. Rest the feet back down. Okay, so let's roll over and go into your cat stretches. So up onto all fours. Put my block there. I would spread your hands, so spread the weight through your hands. Keeping the spine neutral, your wrist, elbow, shoulders in alignment, your knees directly underneath your hips, and your back has its natural curves. And just make sure that you're not letting your tummy hang out in the breeze, that you are actually pulling those abdominals in. So strong through your shoulders, and starting from your tailbone, tuck your tail underneath you and peel up through the spine, vertebra by vertebra, head coming down last. Now I don't have a lot of range in my back at all. I've got a very flat back. So starting from the tailbone, peeling down, working through that lumbar spine, going through your thoracic, so your midsection, and lifting the head, but don't collapse through your shoulders. Still stay strong with those arms and shoulders. And don't throw your head all the way back, keep the neck long. So starting from the tailbone, use those abdominal muscles as you peel up, head coming down last. Any issues with your wrist, go down onto your forearms. So if you feel any pressure through your wrist, I'd rather you go on your forearms than on your knuckles, okay? Because at the studio, obviously, we've got the hand bars that we use. So just watch that wrist position. Okay, so as long as that feels okay, we're going to stay here in our neutral, extending on the diagonal. Take a breath and hold. Exhale, bring it back, and don't move your pelvis. Try and keep your transverse muscles engaged to help to stabilize. So exhale, nice and strong through the arm. We don't want to collapse the shoulder. and then bring that leg back. And then the other thing to just watch, it's almost like imagine if you were on a coffee table. So when you take your leg behind you, your hip bones are staying balanced. We know we can lift our leg higher, but that becomes much more of a body conditioning or a glute exercise. And as you can see, so here is neutral, my back stays neutral. As I lift, I start to rotate through my pelvis. And we're all about being neutral and aligned. So exhale, hold and bring it back, and then extend. And then we're just going to take the pressure away from the wrist, go into your shell stretch. So bottom back onto your heels. You could have your hands behind you, so the child pose, head down, or staying on your forearms, scooping those abdominals up, just creating a little bit of curve through the spine, or I quite like just resting down, just letting my back take a break. Maybe some big breaths, so as you breathe in through your nose, send the breath deep and wide into the rib cage, and exhale. Slow, deep breathing, so important, just keeps everything relaxed, gets you back into control. So if you feel tension, stress, a little bit anxious, just slow your breath down. Okay, so let's do a little bit of work on our tummies. Now in the studio at the moment, because of the coronavirus, we're not actually doing any stomach work because we don't want any moisture down on these mats. So I'm just going to put my towel there. But at home, you've obviously got your own equipment, that's fine. So we'll start off very basic. Walk the legs away from you, so you're opening up through your hips. Abdominals stay engaged. And for now, rest your forehead down onto the back of your hands. So your legs are in parallel. Slide your shoulder blades down and lift your head. Okay? So the mid-back, the thoracic spine, is helping to support the weight of your head. Keep those abdominals engaged and then just extend one leg away from you and bring it back down. So exhale, reach it away from you and bring it back down. And you'll notice that I'm not lifting my leg very high at all. So for me, my knee is just coming off the floor, but nothing else. So I'm really focusing on keeping my pelvis in that neutral position. So hip bones, pubic bones staying balanced, reaching the leg away from me, abdominals just pulling that belly button up. Now you can either stay with single legs or just progress into both legs. So reaching the legs away from you. Now pull those shoulder blades down. Sometimes there's a tendency as you lift for the shoulders to start to ride up by your ears and you start to push into your arms. So avoid doing that. Pull those shoulder blades. Ladies, right down onto your bra straps. Any guys watching, I apologise. And lifting. And rest down. We're going to work a little bit into your chest. So arms down by your sides. And I actually want you to go pigeon toes. So we're not going to use our bottoms. Toes together, heels dropping away from us. Palms facing the ceiling. Arms away from the floor. So you could have something underneath your head. If you don't like your head all the way to the ground, ideally you can lift it, but if that's too much for your neck, just have something underneath the base of the forehead. So first thing you're going to do is to open up through your chest, lift your arms up, and then draw the shoulder blades down, turn your palms in towards your thighs, keep those abdominals engaged. So I don't have much range at all. You're trying not to work into your bottom too much, and then resting down. So inhale, open, exhale, reach. So it's almost like a dart flying through the air, but at the moment we're not using our bottom, and then back down one more time. So inhale, open, exhale, reach. Hold, and release. Legs in parallel, so for the next three, open and reach. Now you're going to feel those glutes fire up a little bit, so pull up through your pelvic floor, try not to come up too high, and then back down. So opening up through your chest, sliding the shoulder blades down to facilitate the lift, lengthening out through the crown of the head, so we're not just hinging from your lower back, and back down. One last time. and rest down. So going into extension, we have swan dives in the Pilates world, but I love the Mackenzies, as you know. So I'm just going to rest up on my forearms, relax my tummy, and relax my bottom. I'm just going to move that because you might be able to see better. Okay. So if you find your back's a little bit tight, or you've been gardening all weekend, all we're doing is putting a counterbalance into all of that flexion by pushing into extension. I'm going to have my hands flat and push up. Now what will want to happen is your bottom will want to switch on, so you want to try to release that so that you're not gripping through your glutes. And you're letting your tummy just hang out in the breeze. You're okay, you're doing it in the privacy of your front room. Here I am. Oh well. And then rolling down. Now you could stay with the Mackenzie, so you'd hold the first position for maybe 10 seconds, go up for 10 seconds. If you don't want to go up, you just come down, relax, and then repeat. Swan dives, legs wide. Now this, you want to use your bottom. So legs are wide, heels are turned in, toes pointing. So that's really switching on my bottom. Elbows in line with your chest. Now I'm quite broad, so I've got my arms quite wide. You can come a little bit more narrow, but you don't want to feel the middle of your shoulder blades knitting together. Imagine a marble under your nose, pushing that marble away from you, sliding the shoulder blades down, and then peeling up into extension. Now we're going to use it as a stretch. So as I come down, I'm going to keep my legs strong, but I'm going to keep my legs down on the floor. I'm not going to lift them. Again, so exhale, push that marble away, slide the shoulder blades down, peel up. Take a breath and hold, keeping those abdominals engaged, and rolling back down. Twice more. Inhale and hold. Exhale, roll back down. Nice and strong through your bottom. One last time. And resting down. And always, when you do a lot of extension, just rest for a moment. Just let your back realign itself. Pull those abdominals up, and then you're going to push yourself up back into your shell stretch. So we're going to do some plank and downward dogs. So we're going to start off in a basic position, just doing basic planks, and then I'm going to progress it. If you've got any issues with your wrist and you don't want to come into this position, then start on your forearms, pull your tummy in, and just lift up the pelvis a little bit. Hold it for, say, a count of 5 or 10, and then come back down. Completely relax and start again. So pulling up through your tummy, lifting the hips up slightly, tail tucked underneath you, especially if you've got a big curve through your spine, okay? But I think you all do plank and down dogs, so we'll do this one first, okay? So arms stretching out, spread your hands, bottom back onto your heels. Coming forward, and as you know, as your hips start to come forward of your knees, you're going to tuck your tail underneath you and into your supported planks. Nice and strong through your shoulders, so it's about your scapula and obviously your belly. Feel anything in your lower back, then stay with the one down on the floor, or just bring your hips back a little bit, okay? So let's do it again, but this time we'll add the downward dog, and it's just a choice. So we inhale as we come forward, tuck the tail underneath you, coming into that plank, toes underneath you, pushing your bottom up towards the ceiling, and going into your downward dog. Coming back through, knees down onto the floor, and then back into your shell. So that's the supported one. We're going to do 4 more. You could do the full plank, so tucking the tail under, make sure you're imprinted as you come into your full plank. Feel anything in your back at all, then you need to keep your knees down on the planks. Hinging downward dog, pressing those heels gently towards the mat, coming back through. So I'm looking for strong shoulders, chin retracted, abdominals nice and tight, so it's a good strong position. Knees down and back. 3 more. Inhale as you come forward, supported plank or full planks, toes underneath you, pushing up into your downward dog to get a little bit of a stretch both for your lower back and your calves. Coming back through, knees down if you're doing the supported, always make sure that your head is in line with the rest of the spine, so we're not dropping the head down, especially if you're doing the full planks. Nice and long and hinging. Coming back through to that plank. Knees down, and we'll do one last one, but rest if you need to. So coming back into that plank. You can obviously hold it for a little bit if you want to, hinging into that downward dog, coming back through, and then resting in your shell stretch. Whew, good. Couple of nice big breaths. And roll up. Okay, so let's go on our sides. I tend to use a towel in my neckline, as you know, so that my neck is being supported and it's also in alignment. So when you're lying on your side, with your arm up here, if your head is down on your arm, then obviously your neck is being flexed. So we want to try and either work with a little bit of space. You could cradle your head, or I like to use the towel, a lot depends on your neck, and pop the towel there. Any issues with your shoulder, you need to have a high block and maybe the towel as well, and just be in this position, and that would work, okay? So it's a standing, simulating a standing position. Make sure you can see your toes, hips are stacked, tummy in, and try to keep your waist light, collarbone open, arms strong. So inhale, lift, lengthen the top leg, exhale, bring that second leg up, take it down together. Inhale, lift and lengthen, exhale, bring that second leg up, and you're not dropping your waist, so we're keeping that light, keeping the spine aligned correctly. Going into double leg lift, so exhale, reach those legs away from you, inhale, come down. Exhale, reach those legs away from you, inhale, come down. 2 more. If you find it's a little bit too hard on your hip or your back, stay with a single leg. Then we'll go into scissors. So you could bend the bottom leg underneath you if you just want to work with a single. And what we're looking for is that leg can stay hip height, especially when it goes behind your hip bone. So you use these muscles on the side of your bottom. If you're working with both legs, imagine that glass of water sitting on your hip bone and not allowing anything to swing. So we're maintaining our rib cage and our hip placement, maintaining our waist position and abdominals in. You could then go into circles. So 6 circles one way, 6 circles the other way. Or if you wanted to, so maybe Judith, if you wanted to change it to clams, pulling up through your pelvic floor, lifting and back down. So when you finished your circles, guys, come back into the clam with me. So about 35 degrees, pulling up through your pelvic floor, lifting and keeping your hips forward. So if you had headlights on your hip bones, they would be shining forward, not turning towards the ceiling. And if you put your hand underneath your waist, you want to try and keep your waist light, so those muscles all around the torso are working. Last one. Obviously, if you want to do more, then just stop the video and do a few more. While we're on our side, we're going to go stretch into your quads. So grab hold of your ankle, pull the leg back, so you feel the stretch here through the front of the thigh and maybe through the front of the hip. Be careful when you pull the leg back that you don't just arch your back. You've got to keep your imprint, so rib cage down, tail tucked underneath you. And if you've got any issues with your knee and you don't want such a big angle, or you can't reach it, use your towel, yeah, to pull your leg back. So you don't have to have the heel towards the bottom. You can have the knee quite soft and then pull that leg back. And that will still give you your good stretch here through the front of your thigh. So maybe if you're sitting down quite a lot at the moment, especially if you're not feeling great, that muscle could be getting quite tight. So do try and stretch it out with me. Good. So with stretches, probably about a minute, especially with these big muscle groups. And so you want to develop it. Do 30 seconds. As it eases off, increase your stretch. Okay, and then release, and then we'll do the leg lifts on the other side. So just switching, I'm just going to switch in so I'm still facing you, roll my towel up. Okay, so making sure I can see my toes. Hips are stacked, tummy in, waist light, rib cage, collarbone, arms nice and long. Inhale, lift, lengthen that top leg. Exhale, bring that second leg up without the waist dropping. Inhale, lift. And although I've got my towel there, I'm not really resting on it. I'm just keeping it there as a guide so that I can maintain that neutral through the neck. But if I do need it, then it is obviously there to support me. Both legs together, stretch them away from you and back down. So exhale, reach. And all I need to do is to come up in line with my hip because I'm challenging that alignment through my spine. If I start to go up higher, then I'm probably going to drop my waist to the floor so my back flexes. Into your scissors. Glass of water sitting here. Might be a glass of wine given it's Friday. On the side of your hip, waist light. So the wider you go, the more likely is you're going to start to swing. Any issues with your hip, take it to a single leg, or you could change it into clams. So here on the circles, 2/3 of that circle going behind your hip bone, but without flaring your rib cage. So we don't want to swing through our torso. This stays absolutely still. So 6 circles one way, 6 circles the other way, and then I'm going to go into clams. So pulling up through the pelvic floor, lift that top leg up, no rotating through the hip, and back down. That was probably a little bit too wide. So pulling up, and when you pull up, you'll feel it in your tummy and you should feel it in your bottom. And then lifting, so I'm going to lift probably about 2-3 inches and back down. Waist still stays light. So you create that little bit of a tunnel between your torso, your waist and the floor, or a sense of lightness, obviously it depends on your body shape. So inhale, pull up through your pelvic floor, exhale as you lift. So you shouldn't feel like you're working very hard. Okay, so it's not about gripping into your bottom. You're trying to work internally into the pelvic girdle area, as well as externally into these small muscles onto the side of your bottom. One more time. And take it back down. Okay, so just stretching out through your quad, grab hold of that leg, pull the leg back. My other leg is just going to go wherever I want it in order to give me that balance. And as I pull my leg back, remember you can use your towel for assistance. So pulling my leg back, tucking my tail underneath me, tucking my rib cage down, feeling that stretch somewhere down through the front of your thigh, maybe in your hip flexor. If you're very tight, it will be located in your quadriceps, so in your thigh. Cool, good. Okay. A little bit longer. And then we'll do some seated work. So just come up into sitting. I'll face you first, then I'll go side on. So if you've got anything vulnerable through your back, you could just put a towel by your lower back, and that just helps you to sort of get that sense of proprioception as where your back is in space, and it just acts as a little bit of a feeder for you, okay? So we're going to sit up tall. Imagine you've got water in your belly button. So as we breathe out, we're going to go into our C curve. So I'm going to drop my rib cage down, pull my tummy in. So I'm going to trap that water in my belly button and then begin to roll back. As I roll back up, I'm still pressing my rib cage down and only sitting up tall at the end. So we're going into that C curve, rolling back. Inhale, we can hold, or inhale, you can come up, push the rib cage down, and then sit up tall. Let's add some arms. So exhale as you roll back. Keep that closed as we lift. So we want to maintain our rib cage and our hip placement. Bring the arms back, rolling back up, nice and tall. And again, exhale, rolling back. Inhale, lifting. Bringing the arms back and rolling back up. Let's do a couple more times. So you're going into that C curve, trapping that water, rolling back. Now, don't want to drop your head, so you want to keep your neck in alignment. Try and keep your shoulders and your chest nice and relaxed. So the tighter your arms, the more tension. We're going to be here and then rolling back up and only sitting up tall at the end. One last time. So exhale, tilt the pelvis, peel down. Inhale, lift, 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 lift. Keeping that rib cage closed. Maintain that C curve. Bring the arms back, roll back up. Into your bow and arrows or your side obliques. So exhale, begin to roll back. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, begin to roll back. Half roll down with flexion and back up. Now you could take the arm behind you as long as that shoulder is coming down, not lifting, then back up. So exhale. Inhale, back up. Back to your bow and arrow if you want to, because what it does, it really helps. It's an oblique exercise. Helps you to get that rotation. Back up. Exhale, rotate, rotate, rotate. Back up. One more time each side. And as I come round, I'm pulling my shoulder blade, like the spine twist. I'm pulling my shoulder blade round and then back. Good, well done. Okay, so let's just go and stretch out the hamstrings and outer hip. So I'm going to go back on my block for my head. Now, because you're not in the studio, you may not have a band. If you've got a band, great, use it. Otherwise, you can use your towel, just hook it over the foot. The leg that you're stretching, keep it, if you are quite flexible, don't lock out your knee. Keep it a little bit bent. The leg has to come your side, so belly button side of the hip in order to get stretched. If you're very tight in your hamstrings or your back, keep the leg on the floor bent. It doesn't have to go straight. And it's always much more effective to do developmental stretches. So we'll hold the first position. I've got a stretch. I'm going to hold it probably for between 15 and 20 seconds. Just relax your breath. And then when it gets easier, you could either pull that leg towards you but keep your tailbone down, or you could stretch that other leg out depending on how tight your back is. And what it does, it anchors your hip, and then from that you'll get a deeper stretch. Now you can pull your toes down and press your heels up to get the calf stretch. So we'll bring in a little bit more of the hamstring into the calf, and you might not feel it, but it will be stretching here into the Achilles as well. Good job. Inner thigh, so both parts of the band or the towel pulling out, look away in the opposite direction so the leg goes out. If you're not comfortable doing that, a nice option is just soles of your feet together, hands resting on your inner thighs, and just allowing the weight of the legs to take that stretch through your inner thigh and groin. And then bring the legs back up, and we'll do the hamstrings on the other side. So the foot hooked in the towel, nice and straight. Don't lock out your knee if you're quite flexible. Always keep the knee a little bit bent. And as I said, 15, 20 seconds. It should start to reach its elasticity, and then you can increase your stretch. So slide that other leg away from you, if appropriate, or you can pull that leg in towards you to get a deeper stretch. Try to keep your tailbone down. And that gives you a fixed point in which to stretch from. We're nearly there, well done. And the nice thing about doing it like this is that, you know, if you've only got 10 minutes, then you can say, okay, well, what should I focus on today? I can just do my stretching, or I'll do some of the lying on my back abdominal work, so you can just choose. And as we build up some of the videos to send out to the inner thigh, we can then put them at different timetables. So we might do a 10-minute slot, a 20-minute, a half an hour. We may record one of the classes so that you can join in with your buddies. And then bring the leg back up. And then the last stretch, we'll do the outside of the hip. So resting the ankle above your knee on the thigh. So you can start off, if you're very tight through your pelvis, or you don't want to lift your leg because of your back, just push that leg away from you. If everything's okay, keep the abdominals engaged, lift the leg. Now you could use your towel again wrap it around the back of the thigh, and that way you don't pull into your chest quite so much and neck, or obviously holding on to the back of the leg, and either your leg, I tend to start with my leg bent, so the stretch is here, somewhere around your hip and bottom. You could straighten the leg out, and that gives it a little bit more leverage so that you can pull it and get a deeper stretch. And you want to hold this for about a minute and a half. So you're doing 3 lots of 30 seconds or 2 lots of 30 seconds. The tighter you are, the slower you want to take your time to develop it. And then release the leg, take the foot to the floor, and then we'll change legs. So remember, you can just push that leg away from you. So any issues with your hip, that's probably quite a good option. If it hurts to lift your leg up, don't do it. Engage your abdominals so we're nice and strong as we lift the leg. Support the back of the thigh. We say use your towel if you prefer. And then just pulling that leg in a little bit more. So continue that stretch if you need to. I'm just going to move on, so nearly finished. So feet down onto the floor. We'll just do what we would do normally at the studio. So feet down, eyes closed, arms just out to the side like on a clock face at 9 and 3, just to relax your shoulders. And then let the legs go one way, head in the opposite direction. And just swinging slowly from side to side. Exhaling as the legs go over, and inhaling as they come back up. And exhale over, inhale back up, back to center. So bring the knees into your chest, one first, abdominals engaged, second one, hands on your kneecaps, let your legs drift open, circling them round, both going in the same direction. Just nice to mobilise the lower back before you get up, and then circle round the other way. So at the end in the studio, as you know, what we tend to do is always finishing cat stretches. So going into your extension, flexion, and then coming up into your downward dog. So feet down. I'll lose you on the camera, so I'm just going to roll up, and I hope you've enjoyed it. It's the first time that I've ever done anything like this, so I apologise that you can see the camera. We will obviously try and get things sorted out a bit better, but I just wanted to get something out to you, to share with you, and to say, hope you're feeling okay, and lots of love, and we will see you soon. From us all. Bye for now.